Have you ever wondered why some people stay in your mind for years, even after a short conversation, while others disappear from your memory in a few days? In Japan, being memorable is not about being the loudest in the room, but about creating a deep emotional impression through small details in everyday interactions. Every gesture, every tone of voice, and every look is treated as part of an invisible code that silently shapes how others will remember you. The Japanese care a lot about the first impression, and it goes far beyond looks. It is about posture, calmness, respect in the eyes, and a kind presence that does not try to dominate the space. Instead of trying to convince people with arguments, many Japanese focus on transmitting credibility and consideration through how they behave. A simple greeting, done slowly, with a slight bow or a respectful nod, can be enough to make a moment unforgettable. Throughout this video, you will see that being remembered is not a gift you were born with, but a set of habits you can train. So before you forget this, pause for a second. Subscribe to the channel right now so you do not miss the Japanese rule later in this video that makes people feel nostalgic about you, even when you are not around. Omotenashi is the Japanese way of hospitality, and it goes much deeper than just being polite. It is the art of anticipating what the other person needs before they ask. In a traditional Japanese restaurant, for example, the customer often realizes that water has been refilled, the space adjusted, and tiny details taken care of without anyone pointing it out. When someone feels seen and cared for like this, the memory of that moment becomes much stronger. Bringing omotenashi into your own life means observing more and talking less at the beginning of an interaction. Notice if the person is uncomfortable, if they need help with something simple, or if a small gesture of kindness would change the atmosphere. Offering a better seat, lowering your voice to match the environment, or helping without making a big deal out of it sends a powerful message. You matter here. People who live by omotenashi are rarely the ones shouting, "Look at me," yet they are exactly the ones everyone remembers. After meeting them, you often think, "I just felt good around that person. Everything seemed to flow naturally." That feeling of subtle comfort is one of the strongest anchors in human memory. In Japan, forgetting someone's name in an important situation is seen as a clear sign of lack of attention. Because of that, many professionals train themselves to repeat the person's name right after hearing it, often associating it with a visual detail, such as hairstyle, expression, or clothing. This turns a simple "nice to meet you" into a real connection, because everyone wants to feel recognized. A powerful technique inspired by Japanese study habits is to create a quick mental story around the person's name. Your brain remembers stories and images much better than loose words. When you meet that person again and use their name naturally, you send a silent message. You were important enough for me to remember you. In a world full of distractions, that level of attention is rare and unforgettable.
You do not need a perfect memory. You need trained attention. Instead of thinking about what you will say next, spend a few seconds fully focused on listening to the name, repeating it in your mind, and linking it to something visual. This tiny ritual, repeated like Japanese students repeat their exercises, can turn you into the kind of person everyone is surprised you never forget. In many Japanese social situations, the person who listens carefully is often the one who leaves the strongest impression. Silence, in this context, is not emptiness, it is respect and presence. By letting the other person finish their thoughts, observing their expressions, and not rushing to fill every pause, you create a space where they feel truly heard. Japanese culture values what is called Kuuki o Yomu, the ability to read the atmosphere. Instead of interrupting or turning the conversation back to themselves, good listeners in Japan adjust to the emotional tone of the moment.
That kind of silence, filled with attention, makes people associate you with safety and understanding. Later on, when they think back to the conversation, they might not remember every word you said, but they will remember how easy it was to open up around you. And that feeling is often more powerful than any clever phrase or story you could have told. In Japan, it is extremely common to bring omiyage, small gifts from trips or special places, to coworkers, friends, and family. These are usually simple items, but chosen with care and often shared with everyone. The message behind omiyage is clear. I thought of you even when I was far away. You can apply the same principle without needing to travel, bringing someone their favorite snack, saving an article that reminds them of their interests, or sending a handwritten note are gestures that feel personal and intentional. The Japanese way is not about the price of the gift, but about the emotional precision of it. You show that you pay attention to the small details of the person's life. Over time, people start to associate you with pleasant surprises and subtle kindness. When they see that object, taste that snack, or even return to that place, your image comes back to their mind. That is how a small habit gradually turns you into a person who is hard to forget. In Japan, arriving exactly on time already feels a bit late. People usually aim to be there earlier. Punctuality is not just organization, it is a clear sign of respect for the other person's life and schedule. When you consistently show up on time, you send a message, your time matters as much as mine. Someone who is always punctual becomes associated with reliability. Colleagues, friends, and partners begin to trust that if you said you will be there, you will. This reliability builds a strong mental image of you as a stable presence, which is one of the main reasons people keep you in mind when important opportunities appear. You do not need to be perfect, but adopting the Japanese mindset of planning to arrive a bit earlier already changes everything. Instead of being the person everyone waits for, you become the person everyone counts on, and people never forget those they can count on. Japanese communication often values softness, subtlety, and respect over direct confrontation. The choice of words is carefully adjusted to avoid unnecessary harshness and to preserve harmony in the relationship. Instead of throwing opinions like weapons, many Japanese prefer to express themselves in a way that leaves the door open for dialogue. When you speak with calmness, clarity, and respect, your words gain more weight. People may not remember every sentence, but they remember the feeling that you do not attack, you build. Compliments are sincere but measured. Disagreements are expressed without humiliation, and humor does not depend on putting others down. If you want to go deeper into this Japanese way of thinking and relating, there are videos on the channel that explore concepts like ikigai and other Japanese ideas for relationships and self-improvement. After finishing this video, choose one of those suggested videos on the screen that best matches what you want to improve right now. It can multiply the impact of everything you're learning here. Iki is a Japanese aesthetic ideal that combines simplicity, discretion, and a quiet kind of charm. It is not about showing off, but about having a style that feels natural, clean, and consistent. Someone with Iki does not need bright colors or dramatic gestures to stand out. Their presence is calm, but unmistakable. You can bring Iki into your life by simplifying your appearance and behavior. Clothes that fit you well, a tidy look, a calm tone of voice, and a steady posture are often more memorable than constantly trying to shock or impress. Over time, people start to associate you with a kind of quiet elegance that is very rare in a noisy world. This subtle balance, being present without being overwhelming, makes your image stick in people's minds. They might describe you later as that person who was so simple but so impressive at the same time. That contrast is exactly what makes you unforgettable. Reading the air, or Kuuki Yomu, is a famous Japanese expression that means understanding the unspoken mood of a situation. Instead of acting the same in every context, many Japanese adjust their tone, speed, volume, and even topics to match the environment. When you develop this skill, you stop being the person who makes others uncomfortable without realizing it. In a serious setting, you show maturity. In a relaxed one, you loosen up. People find it easier to stay around someone who seems to get the moment instead of forcing their own mood on everyone. Being remembered in a positive way is not just about standing out, but about fitting in so well that people feel you were exactly what that moment needed. That quiet sense of harmony is powerful and surprisingly rare. In Japan, gratitude is often expressed in multiple layers, through words, gestures, follow-up messages, and even future favors. Saying thank you once is just the beginning. People might bow, send a short note later, or remember to help you another day as a way of reinforcing that appreciation.
You can adopt this layered gratitude in a simple way. After someone helps you, do not just say thanks on the spot. Send a message later. Mention how that help made a difference, or return the favor when you have the chance. This shows that your gratitude is not automatic, but conscious and lasting. When people feel that their actions are truly valued by you, they naturally keep you in mind. You become linked to the feeling of it was worth helping that person, and few memories are stronger than the memory of being genuinely appreciated. In Japanese culture, consistency often speaks louder than big speeches. The coworker who always delivers, the friend who always replies, the neighbor who always greets you kindly, they slowly build a solid place in your memory simply by being there, again and again. You can do this in your relationships by sending a short message from time to time, appearing at important moments, and keeping your promises without overwhelming the other person. It is not about texting every day, but about creating a stable rhythm of presence. Over time, you become part of the person's emotional landscape. When they think of reliability or support, your face comes to mind almost automatically. That silent repetition is one of the most powerful Japanese secrets for never being forgotten. In Japan, apologizing is seen as a way of restoring balance, not as a sign of weakness. A sincere apology often involves clear words, a humble attitude, and, in some cases, even a bow that physically expresses respect and regret. When you take responsibility for your mistakes without making excuses, you create a strong and rare image, someone who values the relationship more than their ego. People may not forget the mistake, but they definitely do not forget the courage and respect shown in that moment. Instead of trying to look perfect, learning to apologize well makes you more human and more trustworthy. And trust, once built, is one of the main reasons you stay in someone's memory for a lifetime. Now imagine combining all of this, the invisible code of first impressions, the Omotenashi mindset, the art of remembering names, listening deeply, small gifts, punctuality, elegant speech, iki, reading the room, layered gratitude, silent consistency, and respectful apologies. You do not need to change your personality. You only need to add these habits, little by little, into your natural way of being. People will not say, "Oh, they're using Japanese techniques on me." They'll simply feel that you are different, more present, more respectful, more memorable. You will become that rare kind of person who leaves every place a little better than when you arrived, and that is a kind of presence no one forgets. Now, if you want to keep learning how Japanese habits can transform your relationships and your life, now is the time. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with someone who needs to become unforgettable too. That one simple action might be the start of a new version of you that people will remember for years.